Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar today. Tonight, something small appeared on an official document, and it carries more weight than most people realize. A single line was added to a new parliamentary timetable. That line references currency matters connected to the Iraqi Dinar and the Vietnamese dong. It looks minor. It is not. If you follow either of these currencies, you need to understand exactly what this scheduling entry means, what it sets in motion, and, just as importantly, what it does not promise. I am going to walk you through all of it in plain language. No legal jargon, no confusing financial terms, just clear, honest talk about how law, money, and banking institutions connect, and why the order in which they move matters enormously. Stay with me through this entire video because the details build on each other. Miss one piece, and the full picture gets blurry fast. So let us start with the most basic question. What does it actually mean when a legislature adds something to its official timetable? A timetable is not a vote. It is not an approval. It is a formal announcement that a subject is now mature enough to leave private rooms and enter public debate. That is a real and meaningful shift. When something moves from closed-door conversations to scheduled hearings, it signals that the people responsible for making law are ready to examine it openly. Committees get assigned. Experts get called. Drafts get written and challenged. The moment a topic lands on the official calendar, it stops being a rumor and starts being a process. That process has rules, stages, and checks built into it. And those checks exist for good reason. They protect ordinary people from rushed decisions that could hurt savings, wages, and daily costs. Now, here is something critical that gets missed constantly in currency communities. A timetable does not lock in any outcome. Proposals get debated, reshaped, delayed, or dropped entirely. That is not failure. That is exactly how a healthy legislative system works. If this breakdown is already making things clearer for you, smash that like button right now and subscribe. Because part 2 is where we go deeper into the institutions, the coordination required, and what happens next in this process. You do not want to miss it. Still here? Good. Because what we are about to cover is the part most people skip. And it is the part that actually determines whether any currency discussion becomes real policy or just political noise. We are talking about institutional coordination, specifically, how the lawmaking body and the central bank must move together, not separately, for anything meaningful to happen. Here is how it works. Lawmakers write and pass the legal framework. The central bank manages monetary policy, things like interest rates, currency auctions, and reserve levels. These two institutions operate in different lanes, but for any significant currency change to happen, both lanes must merge. A law passed without the central bank being operationally ready creates immediate problems. Markets get confused. Banks do not know how to process transactions. Businesses cannot price goods correctly. On the other side, if a central bank tries to make major moves without legal backing, it faces court challenges and political opposition that can unravel everything quickly. This is why coordination is not just helpful, it is absolutely necessary, and it takes time. Real coordination means the finance ministry, the central bank, and the legislature are all reviewing the same technical studies, asking the same hard questions, and agreeing on the same timeline. When that alignment happens, policy changes land more smoothly. Markets stay calmer. Banks have time to prepare systems. Citizens have time to understand what is changing and why. Now, the fact that this currency topic has been formally scheduled suggests that at minimum, these institutions have begun moving in the same direction publicly. That does not mean every detail is agreed upon. It does not mean a number or a date has been decided behind closed doors. What it means is that the conversation has graduated from informal to official, and that graduation matters in a system built on process and checks. Rushing this coordination is where past currency reforms in other countries went wrong. The ones that succeeded gave institutions time to align before announcing final steps. Drop a comment below. Are you watching the IQD, the VND, or both? Let us know, and make sure you share this video with anyone in your circle who follows these currencies. Part 3 is coming, and it covers what this timetable does not guarantee. That section is essential. Let us be completely straight about something that gets distorted constantly in currency forums and online groups. A calendar entry is not a green light. It is not a confirmation of a revaluation. It is not a redenomination announcement. It is not a signal that a new rate is sitting in a drawer somewhere waiting to be revealed. People who present it that way are either misinformed or deliberately misleading you, and the difference between those two things matters less than the damage both can cause to your financial decisions. Here is the reality of what a legislative timetable item actually guarantees. It guarantees that the topic will be discussed. That is it. From that discussion, several paths are possible. The proposal could move forward cleanly. It could get amended significantly, meaning the final version looks nothing like what was originally intended. It could stall in committee for months while technical disagreements get worked out. It could be postponed to a future session entirely. Or it could fail to gather enough support and quietly disappear from the agenda. Every single one of those outcomes is a normal part of how lawmaking works in functioning governments. This is not pessimism. This is how serious financial reform actually gets done responsibly. The countries that have successfully managed currency transitions, whether redenominations, revaluations, or structural monetary reforms, all went through extended public processes with multiple rounds of debate, revision, and technical review before a single public-facing change occurred. The ones that skipped those steps created chaos, black markets, price spikes, public confusion, and lasting damage to institutional trust. For people holding the Iraqi Dinar or watching the Vietnamese dong, this means one thing practically. Do not make large financial moves based on the existence of a timetable entry alone. That entry is the opening of a door, not a person walking through it. Watch what comes after. Watch for committee hearing dates. Watch for technical impact studies being commissioned. Watch for central bank statements that reference legislative coordination. Those are the signals that tell you whether this process is building toward something real or moving slowly toward a quieter resolution. Patience in this space is not passive, it is protective. If you found that clarification useful, please like this video and subscribe right now. Most people in these currency communities never get this level of honest breakdown. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Part 4 is next, and we get into what you should actually be watching and tracking as this process unfolds. So now that we understand what the timetable means and what it does not promise, let us talk about something practical. What should you actually be watching as this process moves forward? Because there is a big difference between following noise and following real signals, and in currency discussions, the noise is loud, constant, and deliberately designed to keep you clicking and reacting instead of thinking clearly. Here are the real signals that matter. First, watch for official committee announcements. When a committee sets hearing dates and publishes an agenda, that tells you the process has moved from scheduling to active review. Second, look for technical studies and impact assessments being commissioned or released. These documents reveal what economists and legal experts actually think about costs, risks, and alternatives. They are dry reading, but they are gold for serious watchers. Third, follow statements directly from the central bank governor and senior finance ministry officials, not summaries of their statements, their actual words in official releases. Fourth, track any draft legal text that gets posted publicly. Draft language is the clearest window into what lawmakers are genuinely considering. Fifth, monitor foreign reserve levels and central bank auction activity. These numbers tell you about the institution's capacity and confidence heading into any potential reform period. Now, for the Vietnamese dong specifically, the VND gets mentioned alongside the IQD frequently in certain investor communities. It is worth being clear about why that happens and what it actually means. Investor psychology sometimes links emerging market currencies together when there is simultaneous chatter about both. That psychological linking can create short-term sentiment waves. But each currency operates inside its own legal system, its own central bank policy framework, and its own economic conditions. Vietnam's monetary decisions are made in Hanoi based on Vietnamese economic data, not in coordination with Baghdad. So, while parallel attention to both currencies is understandable, parallel assumptions about linked outcomes are not supported by how either country's institutions actually work. Watch each currency through its own official lens. Cross-reference what you read online with posted government and central bank documents. If a claim cannot be traced to an official source, treat it as speculation, because that is exactly what it is. This is the kind of research-based approach that protects you long-term. Like and subscribe if you want to keep getting this quality of analysis, and drop your questions in the comments below. Part 5 is the final section, and we close with a complete practical summary and what steps to take from here. We have covered a lot of ground together, and now it is time to bring everything into one clear, practical close. Because information without direction leaves you in the same place you started. And that is not what this channel is about. Here is your complete summary. A single line on a parliamentary timetable has formally placed currency matters into the public legislative process. That is a meaningful step forward. It moves the conversation from private rooms into official committees, public hearings, and documented review. It signals that the institutions involved have reached a point where open examination is appropriate. That is progress, real, measurable, institutional progress. But it is the beginning of a process, not the end of one. No rate has been set, no redenomination has been approved, no implementation date exists. What exists is a structured path towards serious public discussion, and that path has many stages left to travel. So what do you do from here? First, bookmark the official parliamentary committee pages and central bank press release sections for both Iraq and Vietnam. Make those your primary sources. Second, ignore any claim that cannot be traced directly to an official document or verified government statement. Third, if you hold either currency as part of a financial plan, speak with a qualified financial advisor before making any changes based on legislative developments. Fourth, keep your personal finances stable. Do not over-concentrate in speculative positions while waiting for an event that may still be months or years away from resolution. Fifth, stay engaged with credible analysis, the kind that explains process, acknowledges uncertainty, and does not promise outcomes it cannot guarantee. The countries that have handled currency reform well all shared one common trait. They moved carefully, communicated clearly, and gave their institutions time to coordinate properly. The timetable entry we discussed tonight fits that cautious, structured model. That is genuinely encouraging, not because it promises a specific outcome, but because it suggests the process is being treated seriously rather than rushed. Stay informed, stay grounded, and keep watching official steps, because those steps, not the rumors, are what will tell you where this is actually heading.